Hello and welcome to another Overpaid Over the Bar Mini League FPL special because they're all special. My name's Anthony. Welcome. I won't take too much of your time up today, but there's a few things we need to cover because it's coming to that time of the season when a lot of points can be made if you've got the right players in the right place. So I've just come back from Spain. I spent a few days there and I was there to watch. I wasn't there to watch Real Madrid Arsenal, but I watched while I was there. I watched Real Madrid Arsenal um, at the Emirates on a screen in the hotel I was staying in with lots of Real Madrid fans, and I can tell you it was the most satisfying game I've seen this season that didn't involve my team. So the two free kicks, especially the second one by Declan Rice, unforgettable. Magic moments of football, and that's what I mean. We have at least two Arsenal fans, actually at least three Arsenal fans in our mini league, so they must be absolutely cock a hoop at the moment. And fair play, good luck to them in the semi-finals because I think they will turn over Real Madrid even at the Bernabeu. The way that Real Madrid set up and the way that Arsenal set up, I did have a feeling that Arsenal could do them. I didn't predict it, but I did think that they could, and I'm very confident that they can do the same again in Madrid next week. But obviously, they won't want to say that, the Arsenal fans, but let's see what they do in the semi-final against PSG, who are amazing again against Aston Villa. So they're not only brilliant on their day, they're consistent. So it's going to be that's going to be one hell of a semi-final. Arsenal were a lot more attacking than I thought they would be. I thought they would try and shut the game down against Real Madrid. I thought they would play deny Real Madrid space. Um, but Arteta really did his homework on Madrid, and he identified that their weaknesses are in central midfield, which they really are. And Arsenal played through that space. Didn't always go to the wing. Very sensible, coming inside, going outside, using both wings and the centre. Really, really great play. And he is a great coach. Whether he wins anything with Arsenal will, anything significant. He's won the FA Cup remains to be seen, but he's still a great coach. I mean, I don't believe that you have to win trophies to prove you're a great footballer or a coach. I just think that's nonsense, really. So yeah, that's the Champions League. But the Fantasy Premier League, let's have a look at last week's game week. Well, first of all, I mean, what we must do is actually pay tribute to our new leader in 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 the fantasy league at this point. So have a look at Piers Shingleton under the name A Another. He scored 77 points in game week 31, and this was a game week rank of 9,000. Now anybody's dying for that rank, but to get it in game week 31 with 7 game weeks left after this one really is a hell of a. I mean, this is a possibly a season winning game week because his overall rank now is 54k. He's set up well for the double game week this week, which we're going to talk about. He has all the right players. Even Bruno Fernandes wasn't used in this game. So I mean, this so here we can see that he's overtaken Tom. Um, 36. He's jumped 36 points ahead of Tom. Tom, who made a couple of transfers on Friday, I think. Let's have a look. Sorry, I won't be flipping around with the screen so much this week. I know it's a bit annoying. Um, so Tom brought in Saka and Saliba, and that didn't work out well at all because they Arsenal have prioritised the Champions League, and at this point, Arsenal, from this moment on, Arsenal assets are perhaps not the best thing to have in mind. But they've got a double game week next week, so it really is that we'll talk about that as well. So fixtures, double game week 32 coming up this weekend starts 12:30. Manchester City, Crystal Palace. Palace have two games. They are playing away at Manchester City and at Newcastle United. I mean, first thing to know about Crystal Palace is that their centre backs are either injured or suspended. So Mark Gay is suspended. Um, Lacroix is out. Uh, Concussion, I think it is. So he can't play. That's how I understand it anyway. Which means they've got a very much makeshift central defence playing at least on Saturday, perhaps not on Wednesday. So Manchester City don't bench your Man City assets in attack unless they're Savinho, who can't be relied on to start. But if you've got Marmoush, don't bench him because Palace are likely to concede. And by the same token, if you've got Henderson, be a little bit worried because I can't see a clean sheet there. But he is playing Newcastle as well, so you can always pick up save points in both games. So I mean, could end up getting you 5 or 6 points over 2 games without a clean sheet. Um, but Munoz, their defender, is still a great asset because as we've seen, he's a very attacking player. He could do something in either of those games. Both Manchester City and Newcastle concede plenty of goals for teams that are high up the league, and Crystal Palace have great attackers. So, I mean, hopefully that'll be a really good game. That one at 12:30, and for once, I'm not working on Saturday morning till 1 o'clock, so I'll be able to watch it. So I'm hoping that game is a really good one. I mean, you can't rely on that at the minute in the Premier League. Standards are not very good. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that teams are playing so many games twice a week. A lot of these teams are also set up to stop the other team as much as they are to, the very effective teams like Bournemouth, Brighton, and Palace. They're very, very well organised, and it's not always the best football to watch. And Brentford are the same. Although Brentford do sling it, they get it forward quite quickly. So Brentford games are usually worth watching. But the people are commenting at the minute that the standards in the Premier League are dropping. I don't agree it's the worst Premier League season for ages. I think that's because a lot of teams are disappointed. A lot of fans are disappointed because their teams aren't doing as well as they can in the Premier League, and because it's over already in terms of in terms of the title and in terms of relegation. That does make it a little bit boring. But I don't believe the standards are not great. I mean, I think that the mid-table teams are fantastic, and Forest have been a credit to the league this season. And if you're a Forest fan, you'd never say that. So just because there are fewer Forest fans around doesn't mean the league's worse. So I mean, okay, they Forest play by defending mainly, but they're still great to watch. They're still great going forward. Exciting players going forward. So Crystal Palace have 2 games, and Newcastle have 2 games. So Crystal Palace didn't quite finish with them. I mean, you've either got Eze, Sarr, or Mateta. Any of those are worth keeping, as well as Munoz, possibly Henderson. Three Crystal Palace, very good idea. Don't expect too many points from any of them because they've got hard fixtures, but there's 2 games, so it's worth trying. Newcastle are playing twice at home, once against Manchester United and once against Crystal Palace. I mean, it's at home. Newcastle always score goals, don't they? I mean, we very rarely see them blank at home. Against Manchester United, I mean, you'd expect them to score. And pretty much a couple of weeks ago, it was hard to decide which Newcastle assets to get, and I went for Anthony Gordon. I mean, he doesn't even look like he's going to start against Manchester United. So I would say if you're on Gordon, get rid and get in Murphy. I didn't want to do that. It's so boring because it's just copying everyone else. But I have to. I don't have any choice. I want 3 Newcastle, and I can't see a better attacker than Murphy because Barnes, we don't know if Gordon might come back for one of the games and take his place. We don't know if Barnes will start both games, and we do know that Murphy, I think, pretty much guaranteed starts both those games. So, along with Isaac, also looks pretty much guaranteed to start. He's been declared fit by Howe, and they need to win those games. They're going for the Champions League spots. So if he's fit, he starts both those games. So Isaac is the most obvious captain. this week. You could go for Salah at home to West Ham. I suppose there are other options, a Crystal Palace pair possibly, but I think most people are going to captain Isak. I think Craig said he was going to captain uh, Murphy, but I don't think he was serious. So Bournemouth have another good fixture. Piers has got Semenyo and um, Evan Nielsen up front, so that I mean they're worth keeping for that. I have I have a bit of a benching problem this week, and some people are playing the bench boost this week, and I'm not really sure what to do because I've got Reece James and Nico Williams and Saliba and Tino Livramento. I've got a lot of play. I don't really want to play the bench boost this week because I do want to play it next week. So I'm a bit torn, but I think I was very lucky last week that I didn't have points on my bench and a lot of points on my bench. I was so lucky. Savinho didn't come on for Manchester City, which meant that Eze came off the bench, and then Anthony Gordon made it was a no-show for Newcastle, which meant that Reece James came off the bench. So my decisions were awful, but I was bailed out by good luck. Um, and this week I'm not terrified. Don't want to make out like I don't take it that seriously, really. So I'm worried. I'm worried that Reece James, if I leave him on the bench, well, basically, if he starts tonight, Maresca's basically said he doesn't start 2 games in a week. So if he starts tonight, we know he's not starting on Sunday. Um, if he doesn't start tonight, we kind of do know he's starting on Sunday. So I'm a little bit tempted to put him in the first 11 because at home to Ipswich, I think he's on form. I think he's coming back if he doesn't get injured again. And I might put him in ahead of Nico Williams. I'm leaving Saliba on the bench. I'm leaving Saliba on the bench for 2 reasons. Um, One is that he may slight possibility doesn't play. Probably will because they're short on defenders with Gabriel out. But the other thing is that they probably will put a second string team out against Brentford. I know they're at home to Brentford, but I think Arsenal might concede in that game, even if they don't, even if they win it, I think they'll concede. Brentford, they always give everything. They always try and score. I don't fancy Saliba or Raya actually, and I'm leaving them both on the bench because I've got Javi Martinez for Aston Villa against Southampton away at Southampton. So I'm actually going without any Arsenal assets this weekend. It's difficult to know with Saka what's going to happen with him. If you're holding on to him, that's a hard one. Let's go on to game week 33 because this is where it gets tricky. So this is the following weekend, 19th of April to Wednesday, the 23rd. And you can see that Manchester City, Aston Villa, Arsenal, and Palace, as we've said before, are all doubling in this week. They've all got 2 games. Now, many people will play a chip with this double game week. It's either going to be the triple captain or the bench boost. I mean, you could free hit as well. If you didn't have enough players from those teams, you could free hit. I'm probably going to bench boost if I don't bench boost this weekend or later. Um, but I'm a little bit unsure of which Villa assets and Manchester City assets to get 3 of because I will have 3 Arsenal and I will have 3 Palace for sure because I just hold on to my Palace and probably get in Saka for Arsenal. Manchester City, Guardiola and Marmoush are obvious picks. Outside of that, no one's an obvious pick. Everyone's subject to rotation. They're not great fixtures for clean sheet. Oh, they are actually. Everton away, Aston Villa at home. I mean, you could go for Edison, but I've already got Martinez and Raya, so I won't. But Edison is a decent pick if you don't have 3-Man City. He's nailed to start those games, whereas a lot of their defenders won't be. except Guardiola, we assume. And then in midfield, who knows? He'll start. I mean, he may very well, being Pep, play a completely different midfield in terms of the attacking players from one of those games to the next. But I mean, then you can say, well, you might get 1.5 games out of one of those players, which is great. So I've got Savinho. I'm not going to sell him. I'm hoping he'll get, let's say, 120 minutes in or 110 minutes over those two games. Um, Maybe you won't, but it's no point selling him at this point. But it's still tricky, Man City. Aston Villa is also tricky because they oh, well they have a lot of players now that are good and compete with each other for places. So Watkins and Rashford, both good up front. Asensio plays there as well. They've got a lot of players in midfield that can play. So Rodgers would seem to be the best pick for Aston Villa, apart from a defender or Javi Martinez. So I would say Rodgers for that, and I would try to get him in, but it's hard to. I mean, look at Arsenal's fixtures: Ipswich away and Palace at home. Now we don't know if they're going to rotate because of the Champions League. But the thing is that they don't play in the following game week 24, sorry, 34. They blank in game week 34, and the Champions League semi-final isn't till after game week 34. So you could see, for example, Saka starting on Saturday and Wednesday to keep him ticking over, by that time. If he's fit, I think he might get those starts. It's hard to know though. So, what should be in this game week an array of tasty choices as captain? Actually, there isn't. If you actually look at this game week as an obvious captain, there isn't an obvious captain. And in fact, Salah away to Leicester is just as good an option as any Arsenal player or Marmoush for Manchester City. I don't see there's a great captain choice for this week, and I really have no idea what I'll be doing captain wise in game week 33. So that one is hard, but look, it's not that complicated, and because of the lack of choices, you can't really spend all day thinking about it. There's only a few players from each of those four teams that are doubling. The only thing to bear in mind is that Liverpool do have a very easy fixture away. I mean, I was pausing for saying easy, but it's sort of Leicester away. It's easy. Um, there's no other standout fixture in terms of obvious single game week teams. So do have one or two Liverpool as well. I would say that that is that is all I'm going to say about that, and that might be all I have to say for this week. So I was trying to set up some interviews, but none of them really worked. People have got lives, and that's great. So if you want to be interviewed by me, just hit me up, let me know, and I'll probably try and do something next week. But I'm just keeping this going here. I know the last one got 3 views or something, so I don't know. Don't know if there's much point doing it, but I enjoy it, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Have a great game week. Keep your spirits up, however your team in real life or your fantasy team is doing, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.